Hello, everybody. My camera's askew. My name is Ulf Garder, and welcome back to my new, hopeful, continuing series on world building. We started building a fictional city in a fantasy setting. Sorry, my animals are losing their freaking minds tonight. Uh, um, but we started this on Tuesday, and sorry, everything is just lining up for a perfect, flawless, easy stream this evening, if you couldn't tell. Um, But yes, so we started doing a different sort of content for the channel. I started doing this a couple times when I was very, very beginning and nobody watched me play video games, let alone do something else. So I haven't really done it since then until this week. And there is interest in the community for taking part in this because it's thanks, Gabs. Thanks for that. You're a pal. It's good to see you. Hope you've been having a good day. We are continuing the same project we were doing Tuesday, building our city according to a new book that I got. New in the sense that I've had it for a little while, but I haven't really used it much. But we're going to be continuing through with it, and hopefully we can come out with some pretty fun stories and concepts for a fictional city that some of my D&D players are going to be encountering soon. So yeah, I'm excited about it too, Gabs. I am too. It's going to be a good time. I'm sure that's what you were screaming about so excitedly. That seems to be one of your preferred sound bites. I'm going to have to see if I can find some other R2D2 sounds. We'll have them battle it out to see which one is ultimately your favorite. And tonight, it's going to be, if you weren't here on Tuesday, or if you haven't watched the VOD from the first part of this series, um, it's going to, I mean, there's no video game involved. This is not a Let's Play sort of broadcast this evening. But what we are doing is discussing and telling stories and trying to use a little chaos to come up with stories to tell and try and connect dots that may or may not go together all that well. You'll see what I mean once we get started. But a few, I guess, let me try and remember all my announcements that I had. I should really type these up before stream, but who has time for that these days? In this economy? Organization? In any economy, it would not be my forte. Um, but So one of the main things that I want to get out of this series is, I guess, not really an end. When I first started the channel, I intended it to be a variety channel, not just in the video games that we play together, but also I wanted to do some D&D adjacent stuff. Not necessarily streaming D&D. That's not what we're doing tonight or uh, really for any solid plans in the future, but I've been doing a lot of storytelling through D&D, and I'm trying to write a book based on things that my players have done in my games that have been going on for years and years. Um, and so I've created a world that has a lot of history and story, and a lot of D&D nerds in our community for the channel, or even not even D&D nerds, but folks who like, like Lord of the Rings. That's a big inspiration in the sort of scale I'm trying to shoot for with this whole thing. So we are slowly but surely going to do it one piece at a time, and I'm hoping to do an ongoing section of sometimes we'll do cities, sometimes we'll do characters, sometimes maybe we'll play with history or linguistics is one I intend to get to. I do want to try and make some languages like you know, I'm not gonna say that I'm ever gonna make anything as good as Tolkien because I'm not. But he made a world based off of a fake language he created. I've already made the world. I want to try and make some of the languages in it and do it kind of in reverse. So someday I'm gonna dabble with that, but I need to get a lot of other things done first. Um, so yeah, tonight we are going to be using a book called Spectacular Settlements. It's uh, it's published by Nord Games LLC. They are not an official D&D 5e publisher. They're not Wizards of the Coast. There's a whole lot of drama going on with that right now, and we're not going to touch that this stream because that's a whole other thing. But they make some really great and cool content that is on par with anything, in my opinion, that official D&D books have. So we're going to be using that to make a city. It's my first time making a settlement of this scale according to the system that's in this book. And we're going to pick up where we left off, which is we've done just sort of the basic information of how did this town get started, what's sort of their philosophy historically that's got them through the time to now, um, what sorts of leadership effectiveness do they have? Is it a shabby, ramshackle place because the leaders are corrupt or they don't know what they're doing? Um, we've done all of that sort of stuff. And we've done some of the infrastructure as far as like how effective is their law enforcement sort of things. Yeah, so we did have one nice dun 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 in the last one because this city I had a notion of it in my head, but I'd never gone into these sorts of details with it. But this is a prominent city in my fictional world that has some stuff that needs to be preserved, so I can't take every roll of the dice. Uh, Potentially, depending on what it comes out to be and the things we create, there has to be a little bit of continuity preserved, but I'm doing my best to try and make what we come up with work. And already we've got a couple fun things that have honestly worked surprisingly in line with what I already had conceptually for this specific settlement we're working on. So it's been fun. Let's see. Sorry, I have had a lot going on in the last like 3 hours. So when I came into this on Tuesday, my brain was all focused and ready to go, and I got distracted by things related to this. So I kind of am working on honing in again. So bear with me, especially since my pets are being difficult both for me and for my wife. So good times all around. At least it's a Friday, right? And at least we have delightful things like a perfectly wholesome, family friendly beverage that has not been altered in any way whatsoever. Because, it's Friday. We're having fun. We're hanging out. Ah, gotta love it. Gotta love it. Okay, so let me put you on screen cam and I'll start you off the same way we did on Tuesday, which give me half a second to find the right thing to put on the screen for you. Because I don't have it super smooth and refined as far as my presentation for doing this sort of not let's play content. I'm still trying to figure it out. I've done a little bit of tweaking since Tuesday to have one or two new things that should be pretty fun. But I'm still working on figuring out how I can streamline all of this. So hopefully we learn bit by bit and are able to really get it going. So first, let me put the right screen up for you. That's what I was working on. Okay, so this is Evard. Evard is my fictional world where I'm writing my book series, where the Dungeons and Dragons campaigns that take place or that form the book series I'm writing about all take place. So it's a big world. There's a lot going on. I have over 100 settlements that are named on a map, let alone a bunch of other places that aren't big enough to put on a map but have been encountered and exist. Uh, there's a lot here. I've been working on this for 7 years, maybe a little longer now, and there's still so much to do. I don't think it's the sort of thing that I don't think is ever going to be done. It's never going to be finished. There's always some aspect of some culture somewhere I'm going to want to tweak or think of some new connection to a piece of history that I had never answered and go back and figure that out. So it's a passion project of mine. I love this world and all of the cool things that have gone into it so far. And a lot of that is not me tooting my own horn. That's not where it comes from because there's been a lot of other input in how this stuff goes. I've had my wife has helped probe me into different places of the map to say, hey, you haven't really developed this area yet. What's down there? What would this other culture across the world think of them? Or what is the national pastime in Barrett Hold? Or watching a cooking show about exotic foods in Southeast Asia going, you know where I think that would fit? That would fit in that one city down outside of Einborg. And that's the sort of stuff that she doesn't prompts me to do casually, let alone saying, "Hey, I want to create a character that's from a different part of the world. Let's go into some detail." And so she's been a huge part of the amount of detail that's gone in here. My players have been a huge part of shaping the world, both with doing the same sorts of stuff I just described with Pez, but also just the events they set in motion and respond to with the gameplay we do has shaped this world dramatically. Um, there's been a lot that's gone on that I could have never foreseen, and it was not planned story. That's not how I've done this. Um, and it's they really make it easy to tell some fascinating stories. I don't think I come up with most of them. I just respond to the stuff they give me to work with, and I wouldn't have it any other way. It's a hoot. So if you couldn't tell, I'm a big fan. Uh, and so this is the world. This ramblingness, it was here Tuesday. You're going to get it tonight. I don't know how far we're going to get. We're probably not going to finish making the city tonight. But if we do, I have some other adjacent work we're going to do because we're going to work with maps next. But for now, we're just getting information. This is the city we're working on, the city of Summerstone. Um, Gairland is a country that 300 years ago was a huge, sprawling empire, and it was in a war across this entire territory between these two rivers with Barrett Hold, that was also an empire. And they had a war that lasted for an excessively long time because when I made it canon, I didn't consider how ridiculous it was. But they were at war for 6,000 years. Um, technically. I mean, you can't sustain actual, whatever. That's not what we're here to talk about. Come on, Ulf. But Summerstone here is not the capital of Gairland, but it's important for other reasons. It was important in that war because it was a strategic center, so there's a lot of military history and like martial appreciation and awareness of combat prowess and tactical skills and charisma of leaders being important, that they know how to fight. They attract people who know how to fight to protect them. This entire nation is inspired by Viking Age Scandinavia because that's a time period I love. I reenact it if you weren't aware. And so a lot of this country is based off of what I know of actual like Scandinavian culture at that time. Just, in here there's not a lot of water, so maybe not so much Viking sailors, but still a lot of inspired cultural values. And Summerstone is a reflection of a lot of those. It is a pinnacle settlement of a lot of things Gairland is proud of, and it is also hands down the wealthiest city in all of the world because these mountains that it sits next to and this little place called Deftfall on the other side of the mountains, those are those mountains contain the longest operating and most prolific gold mines and like precious gems mines in all of the world, and they have for centuries and centuries. Um, so there's more wealth here than in any other city in the world. as a single urban area, regardless of how much bigger any other place is than Summerstone. And like they don't just hoard all that wealth, like it still gets exchanged. They are the leading source of gold to stamp coins in the world. D&D players, they trade in gold most of the time. Summerstone is where most of that comes from, but they're not the biggest city in the world, either by population or by space they take up. But simply that wealth and that history here gives this place a very unique flavor that I had never delved deep into before, because it had never really been prominently visited in my story in my games. Very briefly once, um, one of my player groups went there, and I just kind of treated it like any other city, except that it has a reputation that I didn't really portray very well. And that was years ago, and I didn't really remember anything about the city other than a couple small fine details. But those small fine details, I've already kind of found ways to tie them into the results of the dice we've been rolling and the decisions we've been making about this place. So I'm excited to keep it going. Um, I'll do my best to be brief, but still give a review of what we've come up with so far, so you can know what we're working with. There's one little section going to that I am going to skip, just because Pez is here with me. Pez is one of my players, and there's one thing here that contains some secrets that Pez does not know. But they're vague secrets, so if I slip up and if something happens and she finds out, that's not a big deal. Um, that's just I try and do that outside of my games, because I think it helps with immersion when uh, a, a player learns important stuff at the same time as their character. Like player knowledge and character knowledge, I do my best to try and keep separate most of the time, because I think that helps with the immersion of it all. It helps you get in the mindset and have the reaction that your character would have to like an oh shit moment of some, I don't know about plot twists, but especially like piecing together breadcrumbs to make a big discovery of some kind, or hearing big world altering news that some major place has just come under attack by an enemy force nobody ever really cared about, because they didn't think they were capable of such a thing. So all of that, here's what we have. The city again is Summerstone. Summerstone started out as just an agricultural village, just a decent place to stay. Your back was to the mountains, so you had a little bit of protection from that. You had nice clean water from the mountains, and we determined that uh, these mountains, canonically, I've known for years, these mountains in this region of Gareland that Summerstone is like the county seat for. It's like the capital of this one place. It's the hold, like think Skyrim. Um, I've always known that it was called Gold Stream Hold because of the gold mines, where the gold flows out of the mountains like water. But then I just had a light bulb moment on Tuesday, where it was determined that they found the wealth here in the water, like in a mountain stream, much like your old 49ers in the gold rushes in U.S. history. And that's kind of how it all happened. But they were just this little modest agricultural town for a while. Um, and even before they found gold, they're like, we have some really nice farming resources here. We want to protect it. So they've always been focused on being aware of their own vulnerabilities, even if they don't have a ton later on when they're wealthy, and protecting it, protecting the things that are important to them. And this place is ancient. The city's over 1,000 years old, which a lot of the bigger cities in my world are, but not all of them. Um, it's a medium permanent population. The actual city infrastructure buildings can support up to 24,000 permanent residents, but they have the stuff to take care of twice that much, because they have a lot of commerce that comes through, being the world leader in finance. So they have essentially double the city space that people aren't really allowed to live in or use, uh, except to support transient people uh, and trade. So it's kind of interesting in that regard, and that it's far bigger than it actually needs to be for the people who live there full time. Outside of the city, there's a couple notable features. There's a prominent estate of a family in the region, not the Jarl who presides over the space, but another prominent family that I have not detailed, so that'll be a fun one to work with. Uh, thank you. There's specific specialty kind of and things are livestock farming nowadays, which wasn't specific to their agricultural origins, but I like to think that if that's still the case now, it was that's the kind of agriculture it was back then. Also, I just like livestock better than crops as a aspiring wannabe homestead farmer. And then they have a makeshift settlement that is a couple different things that were minorly defined, but that's not super important. The general condition of the city is magnificent. It is incredibly clean. The buildings are all in great condition. It's like they can afford to pay for that stuff. But not just that, we determined that the stewardship level, the leadership, regardless of what form it takes, what kind of government structure they have, it was randomly determined that it is disciplined. That is the highest random result we could get. I did have a bottom out cap because it couldn't be squalid. That would break the continuity I have in this world. Um, but it was determined that this is the best of the best in city administration and its effectiveness. So it makes sense that it is magnificent. There's modifiers in the system, so we got this great result here. Well, that is going to affect this for better or for worse in this other thing later on. That's how this whole system works. But it's built at the bottom of the mountains, it was determined, because I was never sure if it was actually on the mountain, in a valley in the foothills, in the plains where it's more flat. Uh, Quite the specifics of these multiple topographic features and areas around these mountains and where the city officially landed. Uh, so what I've determined is think like think Lord of the Rings, think Minas Tirith, uh, how it's the bottom is kind of that semicircle at the base where it's flat and it's in the plains, but you don't go up very high. Like Summerstone, by contrast, would look more like the city started a little bit away from the mountain and went towards it and is splashing up like an ocean wave on the rocks. It just barely goes up the side of the mountain a tiny bit, and that's where the wealthiest people live. It is heavily fortified because they can afford to keep it fortified. They have a wonderfully spacious market square, so there's a lot of room for people to come and travel and do their commerce. That makes sense for what we've established. But this is one of the things I love about the system is it goes into details that a lot of just like random online town generators don't. A lot of we've already done more detail here than a lot of those sorts of resources would. And one of them is vendor stall acquisition because this is a thing you I would never think about. A lot of DMs I know probably wouldn't think about it, even the really, really considerate and thoughtful ones. But it's a thing you can still use to give life into a city like this, especially one that's, like wealthy like Summerstone where commerce is so crucial. But even in some other large city that maybe is a lot more crime or middle class living, but this is first come, first serve, no fee. So merchants have to close down their shit in the market every day, leave, and they have to be first in line in the morning to get the best spots. But you don't have to pay for it, which is fair. And that ties into a local tradition where the miners in Deathfall vacation over around the mountain to Summerstone, and they essentially have a bar sprint. It's not a crawl. They chug beer or they chug drinks at one bar, race absolutely recklessly, like deliberately recklessly through the city, knocking their competitors over, get to the next bar on the route, chug their drink, and keep going. And they keep doing this until there's only one person left standing. If you fall over or hurt, or and like you just can't get up because you're so drunk, or you like injure yourself from falling over, even if you've only had one drink, or if you puke at all, regardless of your motor capabilities, you're out. You lose the race, and the extremely tight law enforcement in the city lets them do this. Absolutely, it's hard to get away with much in Summerstone, but these guys are allowed to do it because they're the ones that bring the money. They are the miners. And no vendors are allowed to sell outside of the town proper, like in the with a city like this, building walls like that are 1,000 years old, or at least the city itself is, urban sprawl is going to go beyond that. So it's still one of those cases where people will have to come back in event of an emergency inside the walls. Some of them. Um, so outside of the walls, there is no vendors allowed to sell stuff. No, like traveling merchants. Like you'll have a blacksmith shop and a farrier for stables outside the walls and stuff, but they have to be locals. No visitors are allowed to do that, and it was determined to prevent black markets and like cons people from coming to dupe the folks who live in the poorer parts of town because there's extreme wealth here. I mean, sociology, what it is, there's going to be extreme poverty as well. That's just kind of how it usually goes, if I remember my college 101 courses correctly. Um, Population density, it is, for as big as it is, it's not as populated as you would think because of, what we talked about. You see plenty of people, but it never really feels super cramped inside the city proper. The people there are pretty neutral. Uh, they don't distrust outsiders largely because they feel so safe with their walls and law enforcement. Uh, but they're not necessarily the most generous and friendly people outright either. They're just like, okay, you're from out of town, that's cool. So what? Um, there were a lot of options that could have been otherwise, and I was prepared to honor pretty much any of them, depending on what the dice came up with. Demographics, specifically, if you play D&D and you're familiar with 5e, you're going to recognize some of these words. Some of them are originals. I won't go into that unless somebody wants to know specifically, but that'll come up in other world building activities like this. Again, you'll learn some of those words. Um, a lot of that doesn't necessarily matter. Robust City Watch. The city's leadership is generally run by somebody close enough to be a military officer. Any Jarl in Gairland, but especially Summerstone, people won't follow that sort of leadership in this place unless they are a renowned, not just warrior, but like leader and officer, can think logistics, can think tactics and strategy, because that's such an ingrained quality from this old war these people come from, and it's their their respect and appreciation for traditional warfare that they waged for so long. Garland doesn't like magic. There's in most places it's not outright illegal, but it's just socially people are suspicious or discomforted by almost every form of magic you could think of. Not quite all, but they appreciate folks who are good with a sword, good with a shield, who can run across a battlefield quickly on the strength of their legs and not a haste spell, that sort of stuff. So they want their leader to be an exemplar of those sorts of traits. So a military officer is what was. I forget if that was a roll or if I had to override the dice on that one. I might have had to, but now we're here. We're caught up. We're up to speed. Welcome to the party. I'm going to take another drink. I'm going to clear my chest while I'm muted, and then we are going to start figuring out what sorts of districts does Summerstone have. And I think there's a section for it on this sheet, but I believe there's another PDF sheet for us to work through as well. I think it's optional, but we can do that to go into even more detail with each district. So that'll be fun. Yeah, so fun thing about the fact that I still sound like I'm sick. Physically, most of the time I don't feel sick anymore, but it's always at like sundown. I feel great a lot of the time during the day anymore, but then at sundown it's just like, oh yeah, let's just still have chest congestion for like no reason. So that's always great. But let me switch over your view here so you can see the stuff we're working with. That's that. Okay, like I said, the sheets on here can take me a little bit to sort of work through, but I think that's it. Okay. Last time I had it double pages. I think it'll be easier for everybody this time to just do one page at a time. Um, and if you're watching this, last time I was doing all of the rolls off screen you guys just kind of had to take my word for it that I came up with the numbers I did. I have fixed that. Y'all can now roll the dice, and if I roll dice, you'll see it on the screen. So if there's a specific thing you want to help me determine, you can roll your dice. I just ask that you give me a heads up first that it's one, just be like, hey, I want to roll this one. Cool. I'm not going to do channel points to do it right now because I haven't set it up yet. That's probably a low cost channel points reward that I'll put in once we start doing more of these streams um, with this sort of content, which I'll save that for my post break announcements. But we're going to get started. So, districts. We have, let's see, I'm not going to read verbatim most of the time. I just want to get the highlights. If you guys want me to read verbatim, I will, but I will do it quickly. But tip, general condition and crime in this section. Note your capitals, general condition and general crime in the boxes provided. Yep, because I have a PDF I'm filling out as we do this. That's my actual like results sheet and my reference for the future. You guys won't see that on the screen, but I'm telling you everything I put into it, and I'm putting the absolute minimal so we can keep this moving as fast as my rambling allows. Okay. General district information covers all districts. Okay. Many of the tables here are to be rolled multiple times, usually once per district. Quality rolls. Some okay. Rolling for quality isn't mandatory, but can be a lot of fun and it adds a surprising amount of flavor. Okay. I'm curious to see how that works. It's just weird to me that we established like this place is magnificently clean, incredibly well kept. Like people all over the world that have been here marvel at the fantastic just presence and physical nature of this city. So I'm curious to see if rolling for an individual district's quality means like it's going to be that particular part of town is run down, and like how does that mesh up with the whole overall city thing? I don't know. This is the first time I'm building this size settlement with this book, so we're learning this whole system and process together. Um, but so cities, number of districts can indicate. Yep. Okay. Table below to find out how many districts are in your city, modified by size. Let me remember. Uh, Let me remember what our size is, because that should have our modifier. Because we were, I I have a hard copy of this book too, so I'm just gonna reference stuff like that here, so you're not watching me scroll around all over the place getting sick. All right. But if again, I think a couple new people hopped in. I'm not sure if you hopped in quite in time to hear me say this, but welcome, first of all. Second of all, if you like this sort of thing, and I assume so if you're staying here listening to me, um, but I have it set up now where you can participate and help me roll the dice that create aspects of this city for me to try and work with and integrate. So that is an option now. It wasn't on Tuesday, but it is now. All right, size. I remember what size it was. I just don't remember that one specific thing. Okay, because it was a medium. Okay, that's why I don't have a note of it, because it's no modifier. It is a flat 0. All right, so let's see if anybody does want to roll the dice. Go ahead and speak up, but for now, I'm gonna take care of that. But y'all are gonna get to see it this time, because this one is. Yeah, we're getting there. Okay, so it is a D20. What do we get? 15. Okay, nice, nice. I like that. 15. We have 4 districts. Okay. All right, that'll be a good number. 0. We have 4. Not 74. I can press keys correctly. General condition here was magnificent. General crime. General crime. Okay, district condition modifier is a 2. Okay, so that's the most important part to start with, is how many of these do we have? And now we get the fun piece of, let's put some details in it. Oh, I gotta switch my thing back so you're not looking at that. There we go. Okay, district types. Number of districts. Okay, you can have multiples of a district type, such as 2 markets. Okay. You're free to decide whether you want them as separate districts or to make them one big one. All right, that tracks. I mean, that sort of thing might sound silly now, but since I want to make a map of this, hopefully with you guys here on stream, because map making is another one of my favorite things about doing world building stuff. But that's something to remember for there. Okay, number, yep. Districts from priority and leadership. Okay, I didn't get any of those results that say because of these other things you have this specific district. So we are here working with these. So we have a D12 that we have to roll 4 times. Let's see how that works. Hold on, let me see. All right, I want to see if I do that. If you guys... Oh yeah, I have music. Let me turn on music for you. There we go. Let me make sure, okay, that this is turned on so you can hear the music from time to time. Okay, there we go. It's all royalty-free music. I don't know any of them actually off the top of my head, but it's all fantasy genre. So if you want to know what a particular song is, I can look it up, but I won't know it off the top of my head. Okay. And you are still seeing my dice screen, so I'll be quick on that. Like I said, not my most graceful, finer moments, but you know what? I'm working with it. I appreciate y'all working with me and staying here through it. So, yeah, it is what it is. All right, what do we get on dice? I did not actually see what it was. I was too slow. So let me make this bigger for half a second because I can't actually read it on there. I think that's a 9. If anybody was watching it directly, yeah, that's a 9er. Okay, good old 9er. Ah, that's good size. I like that. We'll stick with it for now. So number 9. Let's roll all these first, huh? I like that better. That way we know what we're working with. All right, so we've got 9. We've got 10. All right, easy enough. 9 again. 9, 10, 9, 10. Is that what we're gonna get? Okay, 9, 10, 9, 5. Cool. Let's see what the hell that means. All right. 9 is a scholars district. Has a focus on education and the pursuit of knowledge. This is fun to me. This is fun to me for a couple reasons, especially that we got 2 of them. Because this is not a thing I had really established previously as something the city is known for, but that makes sense. Of, you know, they're super wealthy. They can afford to pay for not just good education, but also the research that goes into, you know, having education that's worth teaching people. And that's extra fun to me because their historic rival, that other empire they were at war with 300 years ago, or present day, and the campaign I need to use this for, is home to the world's leading arcane university. The Royal Arcane Academy of Neris is the place to go in the world if you want the finest education that money can buy as far as magic. And it amuses me greatly that we have two notable educational sections within this exemplary city that is the historic rival, and it will have nothing to do with magic. And I love that for us. Slums. Okay. All right. So we have 2 scholarly districts, a slums, which is all right. We'll work with it, and docks. Okay, yeah, I might have to re-roll that because water is not exactly a thing that we have. Let me double check just to be certain. Yep, they are a day's travel from the river, so we don't have that. All right, let's re-roll our docks then. And try again. 7. Okay, we can do 7. I hope, I think. A market. Hey, look at that. Imagine it. Has a focus on the sale of practical goods versus merchants would be business and non-essential goods. Okay, all right. I like it. So let me start making note. I want to see if that affects what you're seeing on screen. Probably not, but for some reason you're still seeing my dice and not my thing. Let me fix that. Bear with me here, sorry. I'm still learning all this. Screen capture. Be on the book. And then I want to see if I pull out this other one, does that change what it looks like for you now? No, it's consistent, so you guys don't have to see me pull out that other screen again. You can look at this beautiful official book for our activity today. All right. So we got districts. District 1 was Scholar. District 2 was Slums. 3, Scholar again. And 4 was Market, not Merchant. Okay, so now I think we get to do things individually now. Okay. So we have the choice of rolling all of these next couple things like condition, crime modifier, all that sort of stuff. We can do it as a lump, or we can do it together, all as one. So I think let's do it together all as one, because just for continuity's sake for the city, I can only allow so much variance for the reputation that it has. Even though I know there's probably some way to work and fit some surprising results in with the fact that it is magnificently run and maintained. And a lot of the fun of this system is making discrepancies like that fit if you can. But if I can't come up with something, I'm going to need to override it for settlements like this. Most of them that I would love to do for you guys on stream, I don't have that amount of history, so we can really play with the randomness of it. But for now, we're not going to do that. Okay. So. Alright. General condition. Wait a minute, hold on. City's general condition. Apply the associated modifier to each of your district condition rolls. Okay, well, it's magnificent. So we have a +2 to all of the following things. So we need a d20. All right, let's find out. That's a 13, which becomes a 15. So district condition is better. One step better than the general condition level. Right, because that's the cities. It can't be better. It can't be better than a magnificent. Okay, that works. All right. So I think I'm just going to stick with that for all of them, because the nature of this particular location, that's just going to be what makes the most sense, and it'll keep us moving along. Find each district's condition on the table below. Apply the associated district crime modifier to that district's crime roll. Okay. So magnificent. The district is incredible. Cleanliness, maintenance, and structural integrity. Yes. So we're down here now. Sorry, I forgot to change the page for you. Cleanliness, maintenance, structural integrity are all of the highest standard. Loving attention seems to have been lavished on as many aspects as possible. So plus or -2 to district crime. But entry, can one simply walk into the district or is there some level of security? Roll once on the following table for each district. Okay, let me catch up my sheet. That is the wrong sheet. Alright. Night Terror, what are you using to build the map? Something like World Anvil? I have a couple. I have one just sort of quick map generator, but it's tweakable after it generates, that I am familiar with. But I have another one that I haven't messed with, but it looks like it could be fun and useful. It's also a generator that's tweakable afterward. Um, World Anvil, I I have a lot of stuff for this world on World Anvil. Um, I have practiced a lot of my writing and put down a lot of my notes that Pez has prompted me to think about in World Anvil. Um, but their integrated map making program I haven't messed with really since some of the earlier beta stages after they announced it. I think if it once it's fully released, if it levels out to be everything they're hyping it up to be, I think it's probably going to be the best damn fantasy map maker on the internet. But for now, I don't know it. So Watabu is the one I know and am probably going to use if I don't like the other one. I don't remember the name of the other one, but I'm going to find it and try that one first, I think. Okay. But I appreciate you asking. That is a good question. Assuming, yes, exactly. Assuming Wizards of the Coast doesn't kill it. I'm keeping tabs on that as best I can. I don't understand all of the intricacies of legalese, but I'm trying my best to keep up on it because it's going to be critical for the future of this hobby. If you guys don't know what's going on with Wizards of the Coast and the gaming license that lets other people do stuff involving Dungeons and Dragons, even though the copyright for it is owned by Wizards of the Coast Games. That's a whole thing. You can Google search it real easy for finer details than I can give you, so I'm not going to try. But this book and people who make books like this that aren't official might not be able to do it for much longer if they don't give in to the community saying you should not do what you're about to do with the gaming license. Okay. Crime condition mod is a -2. Okay, and these are just going to be the same for all of them. Yeah, because yeah. Okay, this is getting a little funky and convoluted about it. They released an official statement a few hours ago. Oh shit, they did. Nice. Last I heard, they had canceled 2 official statements they were scheduled to make and an official live stream yesterday, just about virtually anything. I think they were afraid of people just spamming the topic in their live stream. So I haven't heard that yet. Thank you for letting me know. I'm gonna look that up after stream. Okay. District entry, that's what we're working on. I need a D12, and we're going to do this individually per district. So they're going to be different. Up first, we're going to have our market. Market 1. What's our market 1? That's a 6er. What do we got with 6? Lightly guarded. Okay, that makes sense. Alright. Lightly guarded. So it's a +1 to district crime rolls. Which, that's counterintuitive. +1 is like, you want the higher number. The negative numbers are when crime is really bad. I think. We'll see. Then another one for the slums. How do they feel about the slums district? How do they... Do you need a permit to go into the slums? How does that work? 7. Lightly guarded. Okay. That'll be the same. Let's roll again. It's IP protection. They're doing the same thing that Black Library does. I don't know what they do either, Bogue, so I'm not sure. I'm not entirely sure what that entails. Okay, 5. Also still lightly guarded. So both scholarly districts and the slums are lightly guarded. How about the market? Watching we get max security. That would amuse me. I mean, it would track. It would make sense for this sort of place. Nope, that's a 2. It is open. Entrance to the district is unrestricted. Also works for, you know, a mildly to moderately overconfident in their own capabilities, but also kind of for good reason, wealthy and secure town that's based on commerce. Like, we don't need to protect the market, but also it would be a hassle and slow commerce if we did restrict the market. So I can see that. I can see that. Let's make note of that real quick. That is not the thing I meant to click. Oopsie poopsie. Get out of here. No, I don't want you up. Thank you. Oh god, what have I done? Okay. So +0. Alright, district crime. Roll once for each district. Below the district crime table is the crime degrees reference. Okay. If city's general crime level is particularly good or bad, it may not be possible to go 1 or 2 levels higher or lower. If that is the case, stop at the best or worst possible. Yep, that's what we did for district condition. So, alright, for the market, what do we got? So that's -2 all around. Warhammer 40k IP owners 2 years ago. Oh, they did a scorched earth policy. How bad was that for you know the I don't know how bad was the burn? You say scorched earth, was that the intention or was that the result? How heavy did that impact the game's community? All right, we need a d20 for this. That's a 5. That's probably not good. Worse. One step worse than the city's general crime level. Okay, let me, okay, I've made note of that. Okay. All right, we'll do another one. Oh no, a natural 1. Oh, that's fantastic. That's not ideal. It is slums though, so I guess that tracks. All right, let's do a couple more. So that's a 2. That is just as bad in the other scholarly district. And then 9. Yikes. This is wild. Bad, very bad. It was the intention and the predicted outcome. Oh, yikes. That sucks. That really sucks. I hope Wizards of the Coast listens to what people are saying and realize how much damage that would do to their everything, because they would lose a lot of money. I think more so than they realize from trying to stop other people from using things that, you know, they're trying to make money they don't already make. I'm not going to dwell on it. Okay, so crime's interesting. Crime's going to be fun to figure out here with all the reputation and establishment we have in the city. Okay. All right, so That's that. We figured out our crime. Notable locations now. That's what's up next. Right? Is that... What did I miss? I think I skipped something. District crime. Okay, no, I didn't. I just can't remember what's where. Okay. Yeah, doing okay over there, Pez? Yeah, he being a gremlin? Okay. Um... Okay. Alright, folks. I apologize. I'm starting to feel sick and tired, and I'm awful tired of being sick and tired, and I'm not able to focus on this as well as I'd like. So unfortunately, I think I'm probably just gonna go ahead and call it. I know it seemed like I was into it, and just making it for this 1 hour of it has been exhausting. So I'm real sorry. I was planning to go for a while longer and make more progress on this, but I just don't think I have it in me at this point tonight. So bear with me. I'm gonna find somebody to send y'all to that's gonna be a lot of fun. But I think that's probably going to be it for me tonight. I'm going to relax with Pez and turn on a movie or a show and probably fall asleep on the couch way too early for for somebody my age. That'll go very bad for Wizards of the Coast. 40k is still a pretty niche community compared to D&D, Pathfinder, and the sorts. Oh yeah, they're going to be driving a shitload of people from D&D to places like Pathfinder and I want to say Shadowrun or something like that. There's a more of a steam or a cyberpunk sort of tabletop RPG setting that that's a game I've heard really good things about. Okay, let me save my stuff so I don't lose my places. Okay, but yeah, sorry, this just all hit me at once, like just a wave of fatigue physically and mentally and feeling sick still, so yeah, sorry for the sudden change, but hopefully y'all have a good evening. Let me find who we can raid tonight. Actually, could one of you do me a favor just to help me test stuff? And could somebody type in one of my dice roller commands I put in today just to make sure it works for you? The command is just exclamation point roll D, lowercase d as in Delta, and then whatever normal dice number. It could be a D4, a D6, a D20. All of that is smushed together, so it's one command. I just want to see if it works when y'all try to do it. If somebody would be so kind. Guys, I did a technology thing kind of right for once. Not for once, I know I have, but like that took me far too long to figure out the simple solution that was being able to let you guys do that when I was working on that earlier today. So, that's fantastic. I'm glad it works. Okay, let me pull up and see who is still out and about on stream tonight. Let's see. We have well, who have we not seen for a minute? Unfortunately, some of these folks, like, I remember their names, and I remember, like, if I met them in DBD versus something else, which is, I mean, they're mostly DBD. But unfortunately, a lot of them, I don't remember much about their channel and their content anymore. Um, let's see. I don't see Otter. I was thinking if he was on, I'd send you to see the Otter Pop. But I don't see him on tonight. Oh no, Bogue. Oh no, Bogue. Well, good luck, buddy. I'm not sure what you were rolling for that time, but good. No, 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 Bogue. This is how I do it. This is how I handle crit fails. Uh, is roll a d4. You roll a natural one and get a critical failure. Roll me a d4. I have a breakdown. I have a policy with natural ones. 3. Okay. Uh Well, if I knew what you were rolling for, I'd give you my result. But the way I handle these, I'll go ahead and explain this before I send you out on a raid. Um, but the way I do nat 20s and nat 1s is nat 20s, if it's feasible, I give you a success. Um, because I know official rules 5e, you can't get a critical success on a skill check if you want to rules lawyer it. I don't like that. I want to encourage players to do good things, even if the results are surprising, and reward, especially if they're trying to do something that's a clever idea or something super ballsy. Like, yeah, if it's a nat 20, like make that success fun. So that's how we do that. I drop my power rate. um, but for a nat 1, um, I still treat them as a critical failure. You are failing, and the 4 is essentially how spectacularly are you failing. So a 1 is like you very definitively do not succeed, but there's not a lot of ramification. A 2 on a D4 is more like there's consequences, but they're not super major. Like you might be embarrassed, or there might be a social ramification, or one of your pieces of equipment um, might need a little bit of tune up or repair, but nothing major. It still functions. It's just going to be a problem later on. A 3 is more like you're probably going to take a little bit of damage, and or some of your equipment is going to be in bad shape, if not unusable until you fix it, or some serious social or like faction ramifications, or if you're in combat, you might like drop your weapon or something, or accidentally slip up and get grappled or give them advantage on their next one, whatever. And if you roll a 4, that is a bad nat 1. That is you trip and fall and you cut yourself on their sword on the way down, sort of thing, or you fall and hit your head on a rock, or you look somebody dead in the eye in a foreign language that you don't actually know, but your buddy's been teaching you and you're trying to remember what to say, and in their native tongue, you don't even realize it. You just say something about their mother. I'm not going to say that on camera because I don't do that. But something bad. So congratulations, Bogue. You got a 3. You dropped your power aid. By my rules, that power aid would have hit your foot and done like a point or two of damage, or like been like that old mousetrap game where it falls, it hits your foot, it rolls over, hits the bookcase, and a book falls on your head. You take a point of damage instead. So, something like that. That's how I do it. But anyway, we're winding down, and I'm still doing D&D distractions as I want to do. I dropped my Powerade while drinking it. I was in the company truck. Okay, yeah, that sounds about right for a 3. All right, it's been a little while since I sent you to Feral Cato, so I think I'll send you there. She's a lot of fun. If you don't know, playing Resident Evil Revelations, Bogue. I know you like Resident Evil. Uh, Understatement of the day, I think. But we'll go ahead and send y'all over there. Still some nice Dead by Daylight adjacent content, since a lot of you and I originally met through that particular game and genre. So let's go ahead and get ready to go that direction. Everybody, thank you for hanging out with me tonight. Sorry for the sudden, just random end, but I appreciate your understanding and patience, and I'll do my best to rest up tonight and hopefully be able to engage with y'all as quick as I can once I'm feeling a bit better. So everybody have a good night. Enjoy your weekend. Um, I'm not gonna say be safe because I know some of you, but don't be harmful to yourself or others. That's all I ask. Um, but have a good time. Make some good stories and share them around as long as they're decent enough. We'll see you soon. Have a good night.